We are anonymous. No faces, no flags, no permission slips. Right now, while the world sleeps, something is happening behind the doors of the White House that they desperately don't want you to see. A war is spiraling out of control. Oil markets are exploding. Missiles are flying across the Middle East. And Donald Trump is reportedly panicking as his own strategy begins to collapse. Tonight, Anonymous is exposing the truth they hope you never hear. Over the weekend, as futures markets prepared to open, reports began circulating that Trump was spending much of his time walking around his Mar-a-Lago resort and Palm Beach golf properties. The White House refers to these periods as executive time. Yet while Trump wandered around in a golf outfit sipping Diet Coke, the Persian Gulf was sliding deeper into war, and the global economy was bracing for shockwaves. According to reports and statements relayed to major media outlets, Trump suddenly rushed to contact reporters and the financial press, particularly the Wall Street Journal, pushing a message that his administration would soon announce a coalition of countries ready to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz along the Iranian coast. The narrative was clear: calm the markets, reassure investors, and project control. But there was a problem. No one could identify which countries were actually part of this supposed coalition, and the markets were not convinced. Oil prices surged almost immediately as investors reacted to the escalation of conflict in Iran and across the Middle East. Brent crude moved toward the $105 per barrel range as fears spread that the conflict could disrupt global energy supplies. The reason for that fear is simple. The Strait of Hormuz is not just another shipping route. It is one of the most critical energy choke points on the planet. Nearly 20% of the world's oil passes through that narrow corridor between Iran and Oman. If the strait is disrupted, the entire global energy system feels the shock, and right now that is exactly what is happening. Commercial traffic has slowed dramatically. Tankers have been attacked. Shipping companies have suspended transit through the region. Analysts say the closure of the strait could lead to sustained increases in global energy prices and significant economic instability. Behind the scenes, Trump has reportedly been furious with his military leadership. According to accounts circulating in Washington, he has been demanding to know why the United States has not yet secured the Strait of Hormuz, why Iranian drones are still flying, why shipping remains under threat. But military planners had warned about this exact scenario long before the war began. Iran has spent decades preparing asymmetric strategies to control the strait in the event of conflict. Fast attack boats, naval mines, drones, anti-ship missiles, and coastal artillery all make the narrow waterway extremely dangerous for large naval operations. Even the most powerful navy in the world cannot simply snap its fingers and reopen the strait overnight. Trump nevertheless continues to insist publicly that the United States could escort tankers if necessary. He even suggested that the U.S. Navy may begin escorting commercial vessels to ensure the free flow of energy to the world. But the reality on the ground is far more complicated. Several U.S. allies have already indicated reluctance to participate in any escort coalition. Countries like Japan and Australia have openly stated that they currently have no plans to send ships into the conflict zone. This reluctance exposes a deeper problem. Despite Trump's claims of international support, many of America's traditional allies are hesitant to become directly involved in another Middle Eastern war, and that leaves the United States dangerously isolated. Meanwhile, the conflict itself is expanding. Iranian missile and drone strikes have continued across the region, targeting Gulf states and infrastructure linked to the conflict. Regional air defenses have been activated repeatedly as explosions and interceptions are reported across parts of the Persian Gulf. Iran's leadership has also adopted a defiant tone. Officials have stated publicly that they are not negotiating with the Trump administration, and that nations supporting the United States could become legitimate targets if the war continues. This is how regional wars escalate, and the economic consequences are already spreading far beyond the battlefield. Energy markets are experiencing massive volatility as shipping disruptions and attacks on infrastructure reduce supply. Analysts warn that prolonged disruptions could trigger a global energy crisis affecting fuel, transportation, and manufacturing costs worldwide. But oil is only the beginning. Modern agriculture relies heavily on fertilizers produced from natural gas. When gas prices rise, fertilizer prices follow. When fertilizer prices rise, food production becomes more expensive. That means the conflict in the Persian Gulf could soon translate into higher food prices across the entire world. This is the domino effect of war in the globalized economy. And yet the Trump administration continues to project confidence publicly, even as contradictory statements emerge almost daily. One moment, Trump declares that Iran has been completely defeated militarily and economically. The next moment, he suggests sending U.S. ground troops into the conflict if necessary. Then he claims the United States might seize Iran's enriched uranium facilities, before later saying such an operation is not imminent. These contradictions create confusion not only for the public but also for financial markets and America's allies. And while the Middle East burns, another strategic challenge is quietly unfolding thousands of miles away. Taiwan has reported a surge in Chinese military aircraft operating near the island. Chinese naval vessels are also appearing more frequently around Taiwan's waters. This kind of movement often happens when rival powers sense that the United States is distracted by another conflict. History shows that geopolitical rivals watch carefully for moments of weakness. And right now, America is deeply entangled in a rapidly expanding war. North Korea has also continued missile tests in the region, a reminder that global adversaries rarely pause their ambitions simply because Washington is busy elsewhere. The financial cost of this war is staggering as well. Within just the first week of fighting, the conflict had already consumed billions of dollars in military expenditures. That is money that could have gone toward healthcare, schools, infrastructure, and economic development inside the United States. Instead, it is being spent on bombs, missiles, and military deployments in another Middle Eastern war. Critics within the United States have begun raising serious questions about the strategy behind the conflict.
That in the past, Iran's nuclear program was contained without a shot being fired. I think President Trump thought he could get a better deal than the Obama administration did.
No, the military has all the funding it needs for this conflict, unless this conflict goes on for years. There was an extra $150 billion for the military in the big ugly bill that passed last year. So the Pentagon has all the resources that it can use in the current conflict. Now, the future is something different, and we'll have to figure out what the future needs of the military are, because we're depleting so many of the stocks of the military, another huge cost of the war. But let's think about what is...
American people are tired of us being dragged into these Middle East wars. They want American leaders who are actually going to put America first, put money into our manufacturing base, into jobs here, into childcare here. That's why the president's numbers are down. He hasn't released the Epstein files. He promised that. Massey and I said forced him to release the Epstein files. He's said he wasn't going to get us into foreign wars. He's getting us into foreign wars.
We are anonymous. We believe the public deserves to see what is happening behind the headlines. If governments gamble with global stability, the people have the right to know the truth. If you believe power should be held accountable, share this information, question the narratives you are given, and never stop demanding transparency. Because when leaders operate in darkness, the only defense the public has left is light.